so getting in here to Dawn of the Infinite's Galakrond's Fall here. So I am doing this on Mythic 0, or Heroic actually, myself. So it is going to be a little bit slower. I am going to have to kind of skip past a few things. Not a ton of information here, so I just kind of invis pot over to the boss, because fuck it. Worth noting, this is actually the first dungeon that I have done anything related to an invis pot. Invis pot skips are, I feel like, fairly uncommon across dungeons. I do think that Fall and Rise do have some potential for them, Fall more than Rise. But worth noting, if you are invis skipping as a pet class, I have personally had tons of issues with my pet just not working with invis for some reason and just kind of pulling random shit while I'm invisible. So I recommend just dismissing your pet for any invis skip that you're doing prior to starting the skip, and then just I actually turn on Burning Rush, and then you can invis bot, and it just makes every invis skip super free because you're running at 50% increased speed. But you don't have to; you can just invis pot and run. But I would recommend dismissing your pet for sure. General boss strategy: put the stomps, the sand, as close to the edge as you can, typically, and then one fairly common thing across basically all keys that I've done or seen done here recently is just everyone runs to try and tank the soak. You don't need just your tank to do it. So nothing super fancy here either. Worth noting that the leeches, if they complete their innervate cast, do then have to be knocked as opposed to just interrupted. So of course Warlock can do that with Fear, Coil, Shadow Flame, or Shadow Fury rather, Infernal, Grimoire Felguard, or Felguard Interrupt, tons of stuff, but worth noting that that does need to be done in those instances. So, but again, nothing super fancy here, just clearing trash so I can actually get to the boss. Couple cool things we can do on this boss. Unfortunately, nothing that we're really kind of interacting with our group in order to do. It's a bit lame, but can use Demonic Circle, which I don't actually show off here, but can use Demonic Circle to dodge the orbs that it sends out. That can help save you a few steps, save you a little bit of uptime. Definitely worth doing if you find an opportunity to do it. Not really necessary, but again, can save you some uptime. General boss strategy is, of course, if you get the basically you just want to generally stand in the dark area so you don't take ticking damage. Dodge the orbs that come out. Orbs are slow in the dark area, fast in the light area. So typically what I do is I kind of stand in the dark area until the light area is kind of ticking in on my right side, and then the orbs that are on my right side get hit by the light area, move super fast, and I just kind of move into the light area right behind them to dodge. Makes it super free. But then if you do get the debuff, of course you do want to be dispelled in the light area. That's really the only other mechanic of this fight. It is a super basic, super straightforward fight. Unfortunately, it's something that I have seen a lot of mistakes on in pugs here recently, but should be a very easy, very free fight. Worth noting, if someone does make a mistake and they do get dispelled in the dark area, the best option for dealing with that is to move through the ring that they create as quickly as possible. Warlocks can do it instantaneously with Demonic Circle. You can also gate for the rest of your party, and they will move through it very quickly as well, but hopefully there's no mistakes. Just a quick little note here. There are a lot of potential gate skips in this dungeon. This is one of them. You won't typically be asked to do this in dungeons, but if you are, then this is how you do it. Basically just walk over to the edge, gate over to the right, dodge the Drake. Totally free, just as free as running to the right. So very good if you're in a disorganized group or people that have made the mistake potentially of pulling that dragon before. Just to do that, there is no harm in doing it. Does not cost you really any additional time at all. Nothing super fanciful that can be done on this fight. Worth noting, Warlocks are very good at holding the corrosion because we are just so naturally tanky. So if you are looking for a DPS to hold this so the tanks get MC'd or something like that, a Warlock is a great option. Any tanky DPS is a fantastic option. Monk also very good, so that you can get that extra karma damage in there. But general boss strategy is, of course, corrosion needs to be passed every 15 seconds, so that it does not MC anybody. And then does need to be past the tank before Blight Reclamation is cast, so that the actual debuff goes away with that Blight Reclamation. Worth noting that at all points, all but the Fire Dragon, the very last phase Fire Dragon, does put the poo on the ground under them, and it constantly expands. So your tank should be moving this. If he's not, you may want to ask him to move it, so that melee can continue to hit. So this is the 2 target here. Very simple. Cleave as normal. They do share a health pool, all that fancy stuff. This Drake, you can see, is dropping the poo. This Drake is not. So you're only actually worried about this one. This is also the one that will follow your tank around. This one does a frontal, very easy to dodge. This one, this is worth noting, does root a random target. So you can break that root with all the various things that do break roots. So personally, you can use like disengage if you are a hunter. You can bubble if you're a paladin. The big one that we personally use a lot is freedom, and so blessing of freedom and Tiger's Lust from Monk will break it. So as long as you have one of those in the group, they will just cast it on whomever has the root, and it will break it. Warlocks themselves, of course I am a Warlock main here, can soul burn and take their demonic circle teleport and break it themselves as well. So worthwhile note that that is something that we can do because it makes you immune to roots. So no fancy gate skips here in the fall, unfortunately. This is a typical invis skip past all of this trash. You can Curse of Tongues, of course, these creations. I don't think it's super worth doing, or the Chrono Weaver. Chrono Weaver is probably a better target, but if you just want to look for some Curse of Tongues value in this dungeon, of course, there are plenty of casters to get that on. So coming here into the last boss, this has been a pretty quick video. But coming in here to the last boss, there is a ton of stuff that maybe we can't do personally from Warlock, but is worth knowing that can be done either by us or other classes or other races. So first off, I am putting a Warlock gate down here. I'm going to put it down real quick. I personally like having this Warlock gate. My groups, typically what we do is during the cone ability the boss does, where it spawns the 2 adds, we always want to go to the same side, so those adds spawn fairly close to one another so they can be easily cleaved down, and we always go to the left. So personally, I like putting these Warlock gates down for anybody that's just a little bit too far to the right side. They can easily get to the left with the rest of everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the boss here. So one thing that is worth noting on this boss is that you are given a shitload of haste following the soak from Erratic Extinction Blast here. So Extinction Blast, obviously, super big dot. Nothing that Warlock can do to completely prevent it unless you're a Night Elf. Night Elves can Shadow Meld this. Hunters can Feign Death it. Obviously, Paladins can like bubble it and stuff like that as well. But personally, we just defensive it. On a super high tyrannical key, you will probably double defensive it because it does a lot of damage. You could probably get away with just 1 defensive if you have a very strong healer, but especially in a pug group, that's going to be a lot more questionable. Unfortunately, we don't have any added damage to shields or anything like that on our tree, unlike like warriors with wrecking throw and stuff like that. But worthwhile to note that the Earth Fury cast that he does, where it sends out the Earth spikes, that is actually a shield that you have to break on him. So if you have any classes like Evokers or Warriors that could spec into Unravel or spec into Wrecking Throw, it might just be worth it for them to do it for this dungeon. I mean, it's really up to them as far as how much DPS it's going to cost them. But getting through those phases faster can really save a lot of healer mana. So worthwhile note to note that is a shield on the boss there. So kind of moving on here to the last phase. Last phase is very, very straightforward. Just get in the bubble, hit the boss till he dies. You have huge haste here, so as a Warlock, you're super happy with that. Of course, this is just on Heroic, so we just blast through it super fast. But typically we would be defensiving there as well. So we would have a Dark Pack there, may even have a coil, may have to soul burn a health stone. Just saving healer mana is our job there. As one of the tankier DPS classes in the game, anytime you can save healer mana, you should be saving healer mana. It is going to speed up your key a lot just to do the things that are going to save your healer time and mana. So definitely worthwhile to press those buttons, even if they are going to cost us a couple of globals. They're going to help speed up the dungeon a lot. So that's really everything that I had for Fall. Very, very short dungeon in general. Very, very short video as well. Not a ton of cool stuff that Warlock really gets to do in this dungeon, or really, I think any class gets to do in this dungeon. This is such a straightforward, also very, very linear dungeon. But I did want to get what little information I do have out there, especially on this boss. This is a boss that we've also seen quite a few mistakes on in some lower keys. So any information that we do have about this boss, about what needs to be done, kind of general boss strategy here is, of course, that Extinction Blast. Whoever is targeted by it does need to get into the circle with Chromie, and then everybody else gets out. And then once the actual initial hit goes out, everyone needs to pile into that first soak, that larger soak, with the person that was targeted, and then the tank needs to get in the smaller soak up front. So just kind of some worthwhile general information out there as well. So like I said, did want to get what information I could out about this dungeon. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please absolutely do check out some of the other content available on my channel, or catch me live at twitch.tv/Gadalis. Please follow so that you can receive live notifications for when I am streaming. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the video.